So to be honest, when I heard Gen V Season 2 was coming out in September of this year, I wasn't all that excited considering it had been such a long time since the first season was released. And you know what? I didn't start watching this season until episode 6 was released when I finally decided I had nothing better to do, and oh my god was I amazed by what I've seen. When the first season of the show released, I thought it had been put together really good by the writers and made it somehow feel necessary despite having the main show of The Boys. At first it started off as something to keep the audience interested in this universe that tends to take very long breaks in between seasons, but by the end it not only added and connected very well to the main show, it sparked stories for these new characters that I actually wanted to see more of. When we're first introduced to our protagonist Marie Moreau, we see her disgustingly brutal backstory, which instantly intrigued me to the show and to her as a character. The other characters at first meant nothing much to me, but by the end of season 1 I can safely say they recreated that feeling of the group in the main show, but somehow made a difference so it doesn't feel like a copy. Every new character isn't a copy-paste of characters we've already seen throughout The Boys. They feel unique and almost relatable. Despite the first ending having a solid and dare I say top 10 worthy moment in all of The Boys with Homelander pulling up to save the day, I was extremely sad by the death of Chance Perdomo, the actor who played Andre, since it was so sudden and unexpected. I'm not joking when I say that by the end of that first season, his character became so redeemed, and I had great admiration for the acting behind it, feeling genuinely real. With that in mind, I thought it would be hard for the writers to just continue with him now dead out of nowhere. But I was so impressed by the show's compassion to not only make sense of where he went, but how much they honored the actor through Andre. Instead of brushing off his death in the first episode, you can really feel the weight of his death all the way up until episode 6, where characters are still mentioning how different it is with him gone. And when I see characters like Marie and Kate cry, I honestly believe we are seeing the raw and genuine emotion of these actors who actually had to go through him dying in real life. And honestly, that moment right there made me realize how different Gen V actually is from most spin-offs. So many shows in shared universes either feel like filler or side quests that you can skip, but Gen V treats its story with real weight. You can tell the creators genuinely care about these characters and the world they exist in, not just as extensions of The Boys, but as people dealing with their own trauma, fame, and guilt. The tone swings between horrifying and heartfelt in seconds, and that's what makes it special. It's that balance of dark satire and raw humanity that keeps you hooked, because you never really know whether to laugh, cringe, or cry. It's also the kind of writing that makes the wait between episodes feel unbearable. Every week ends with something that sticks in your head. I caught myself thinking about scenes hours after watching, just trying to process what it all meant for the bigger picture. And that's when I knew this wasn't just another spin-off, this was the evolution of the Boys universe. That's one thing that gave me a sense of hope for this next season of the show, actually facing what's in front of them instead of recasting him or whatever others might have done. But let's move on to what I think of the season in general. Now, depending on when you're watching this video, the season is either still going or has ended. By the time I'm making this video, episode 7 has just aired, but regardless of what it is, I'm going to assume based off what I've seen, they will land the ending. But in regard to everything I've seen, I've been extremely impressed by the quality of this spin-off. I would go as far as saying it's on par with some of the weaker seasons of The Boys, which, let's be honest, are still so damn peak. It gives me the same feeling of just wanting to binge the entire show in one day, which I low-key did for the most part, and now that feeling of having to wait for another week is just insane. What's crazy is how rewatchable this season feels too. Every episode drops little clues or background details that hit harder once you notice them later on. The foreshadowing is subtle but smart, like stuff that seemed random in episode 2 suddenly making total sense by episode 5. It's one of those shows where you actually want to pause and analyze the screen just to catch all the Easter eggs and hidden messages about God-used corruption and the wider soup conspiracy. It's rewarding storytelling that respects the audience instead of spoon-feeding them. Now, the first season hinted at how powerful Marie truly is, and we got to saw her move up the ranks of God U pretty fast despite her living in captivity for years. But this season, rightfully so, takes things to another level, anticipating her powers to be on par with that of Homelander's, which directly ties into the final season of the show. Because if the boys want to take down the man who has the power to wipe all of civilization, they're gonna need one hell of a competitor. And I'm not talking about Soldier Boy. After all, she literally has the ability to bring people from the dead like she did for her sister. It would be perfect for the show to somehow transition Marie into their group and would perfectly tie the two shows together to be on the same page. And as well, we already surprisingly saw Starlight contact actor, which I was really caught off guard by, but it's really starting to ramp up these two groups colliding for one last fight against Homelander. Although Butcher has gotten insanely stronger since he started sipping the V, he's not nearly close enough to take Homelander on his own. Sure, he could probably take on normal soups like Firecracker and such, but still, the team will need somebody completely new, a wild card. And before you say that I forgot about Starlight and her buffed abilities with her being able to now fly like never before, even she is not capable of taking on Homelander. With it being literally explicitly stated Marie has the skill set and power to do so, it's only a matter of time before we see her go on to the main show. As for everyone else, I suspect we might get a lot of deaths, but hopefully not too many, as that would be a hard watch, considering I've come to like even previously evil characters like Kate. Another great aspect to have come from this season so far is Dean Cypher, who manages to be comedic relief while also being completely deranged and terrifying. The actor does an amazing job at having this expression on his face that leaves you wondering whether he's about to crush someone's skull or simply toy with them. As well, he appears to be almost 10 steps ahead of the students everywhere they go thanks to Sister Sage, who can predict their moves with ease. However, one thing that has been intriguing me is if we will possibly get a third and final season to Gen V. I know you're probably saying that's kind of impossible with The Boys Season 5 concluding the main show, but it's not entirely out of question. If Marie does somehow manage to survive everything by the end, we could still see the writers develop a story for a third season. But there are a few issues we have to consider when thinking about this. If we see the boys finally defeat Homelander and every evil suit by the end of season 5, then who the hell is she going to be fighting or trying to take down? After all, the reason why Gen V is so entertaining and worthy to watch is how important it is to the grand scheme of what the main show is trying to accomplish. Season 1 involved a deadly virus that could potentially kill all soups and even Homelander, and season 2 is all about Maria and her being able to kill Homelander once and for all. So if the threat is truly killed by the end, the writers would need to come up with a worthy enough plot that doesn't diminish what The Boys ends with. But of course, there's still the possibility that Homelander actually ends up winning and kills every single one of the boys, which would still mean the world is run by an evil psychopath. But then that leaves me questioning, would there even be a point of continuing the world of The Boys in another spin-off without ruining the main show's ending? Honestly, it's hard to say, but I hope they leave room for there to be more side shows like Gen V, just because of how unique and entertaining the world of The Boys is. There are probably a million other powers we have yet to see and stories that could genuinely be entertaining and not just feel like a cash grab. All in all, Gen V as a spin-off has given me lots of hope for the future of this franchise despite its sort of ending in 2026. Now maybe I'm just yapping for nothing and Gen V Season 2's ending ended up being unsatisfying, but I find it highly unlikely if that were to be the case, and still with all the episodes I've seen, it's been an insanely fun ride and I've enjoyed every single minute that has come with it. If you want to dive even deeper into these theories with exclusive videos, guaranteed replies, and your name featured at the end of every upload, you can become a channel member for just $2.99. It helps out a ton and keeps this content going. Don't forget to like and subscribe and drop your own thoughts and theories in the comments down below. And if you want to keep the conversation going, hop into the Discord where we talk about all your favorite shows and media. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.